Ethan Parker adjusted the straps of his exploration pack as the shuttle's landing gear hissed and touched the soft, violet soil of Zyphera. He had expected alien landscapes before, but nothing could have prepared him for this. Rolling hills of luminescent plants stretched into the distance, glowing softly under Zyphera's twin suns. Towering crystal spires rose like fingers into the sky, shimmering in colors Ethan could barely name. Every step he took was accompanied by a quiet hum from the soil itself, a subtle vibration that suggested the planet was alive in ways far beyond human comprehension. Ethan had been sent here as part of the Galactic Exploration Corps, a coalition of scientists from multiple planets tasked with studying emerging civilizations. Zyphera was on the top of every explorer's list. Its inhabitants were rumored to be highly intelligent, technologically advanced, and culturally complex. Most importantly, humans were rare here. The presence of one, even a scientist, was considered unusual. This made Ethan both a subject of fascination and suspicion. As the shuttle doors opened, Ethan stepped into the warm, fragrant air of Zyphera. The scent was unlike anything on Earth, a mixture of sweet nectar and a sharp metallic tang, as if the atmosphere itself carried hints of energy and life. He squinted against the bright light and caught sight of figures approaching. At first, they seemed humanoid, but their features were subtly different. Skin tones ranged from soft lavender to pale gold, and their eyes glimmered faintly, reflecting the twin suns above. Their movements were graceful, almost gliding over the soil, as if they were in harmony with the planet itself. At the front of the procession was a woman taller than the rest, her posture commanding, her presence magnetic. Her hair flowed like liquid silver, and her eyes glowed a soft, warm amber. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. She was stunning, but it wasn't just her beauty, it was her aura of authority. This had to be Princess Lyra, the ruler's eldest daughter, and the face of Zypheran royalty. Beside her, a younger woman watched Ethan with quiet curiosity. Her hair darker, her eyes a piercing shade of violet that seemed to examine him with careful calculation. This must be Princess Selene, Lyra's younger sister. "Welcome, human," Lyra said, her voice clear and melodic. "I am Princess Lyra of Zyphera. You honor us with your presence." Her gaze lingered on Ethan, assessing, as though she were trying to see something beyond his appearance, perhaps into his mind or character. Thank you, Princess," Ethan replied, bowing slightly in respect, though he felt the weight of her attention. "I am Ethan Parker, a scientist and explorer from Earth." Lyra's lips curved into a faint smile. "Earth," she repeated, "a world of resilience and chaos. I have heard much about humans. You are clever creatures, capable of great feats. It seems we will learn much from each other." Selene stepped forward then, her movements precise, almost cautious. "We are curious about you as well, Ethan Parker," she said softly. "Your species is unique. It will be interesting to see how you adapt to our world." Ethan swallowed hard, aware that he was the center of attention in a court of beings far more advanced than he was. But he reminded himself that curiosity was one of humanity's strongest traits. He had survived worse on Earth, and he would navigate Zyphera the same way with observation, respect, and ingenuity. A ceremony had been arranged to welcome him properly. The alien court gathered, a mixture of scientists, scholars, and officials, each one observing Ethan with keen interest. The air hummed with anticipation, as if Zyphera itself was aware of this human presence and had taken notice. Ethan felt both excited and uneasy. The expectations were enormous, but he resolved to show that humanity's qualities were worth recognition. During the ceremony, Lyra made a statement that stunned everyone, including Ethan. "According to our customs, a human of your potential is not to be left to chance," she declared. "You may not marry freely among outsiders. You shall be bound, by tradition, to Zypheran royalty if you choose to form bonds." Ethan blinked. I'm honored, Princess, but I did not come here seeking—" "You misunderstand," Lyra interrupted gently but firmly. "This is not a restriction. It is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to honor both our civilizations. Only the worthy may be considered, and I find your presence intriguing." Her amber eyes glimmered, as if daring him to challenge her words. Celine's gaze softened slightly. "And while my sister has a commanding way, I am more curious about the human mind itself," she said. "It is rare to meet a species that balances instinct, empathy, and creativity so well. I hope we shall see these qualities in action." Ethan realized then that the princesses were not merely evaluating his appearance. They were testing his humanity, his creativity, adaptability, and moral compass. They were judging whether humans could be partners in more than just political or ceremonial ways. It was both thrilling and intimidating. Over the following days, Ethan was given access to Zyphera's grand libraries, laboratories, and natural reserves. Everywhere he went, the planet seemed alive. Observing, learning from his actions, he noted plants that responded to emotional cues, energy networks that hummed in harmony with the planet's cycles, and creatures that seemed intelligent in ways humans would not immediately recognize. Zyphora was a world of wonder, but it was also a challenge. Every experiment, every interaction was a potential test. Princess Lyra often joined him during his explorations, observing quietly at first, then offering guidance. "Do not underestimate Zyphera's subtlety," she advised. "This world does not respond to force. It responds to understanding, respect, and creativity. If you approach it as you would a puzzle, you may learn much." Selene, on the other hand, watched from a distance, occasionally offering insights that were sharper, more analytical. "Your human logic is different," she noted one day as they observed a flock of shimmering avian creatures. "You do not always follow predictable patterns. That is both a challenge and an advantage. You see solutions where we see constraints." Ethan found himself fascinated by both sisters, not romantically at first, but by their intelligence, their differing approaches, and the way they represented the best qualities of their civilization. Lyra was bold, decisive, and commanding. Selene was analytical, observant, and quietly powerful. Together, they embodied the balance of strength and insight that had allowed Zyphera to thrive for millennia. Yet, Ethan was also aware of the delicate politics. The royal court was a place of hierarchy and tradition. His every move was scrutinized. His every decision noted. If he misstepped, he could alienate more than just the princesses, he could offend the planet itself. It was a test unlike any he had faced. And he knew that success depended on more than intelligence. It required empathy, courage, and integrity, the qualities humans were known for, even in the face of advanced alien civilizations. One evening, while exploring a grove of luminous trees with Lyra, Ethan stumbled upon a puzzle. A grove of trees had roots intertwined with glowing crystals, and some of the trees' luminescence was fading. The puzzle required balancing the energy flow without disrupting the ecosystem. Ethan studied it carefully, analyzing patterns and applying principles of both human engineering and observation. Slowly, methodically, he adjusted the flow, watching as light returned to the trees, the crystals glowing brighter than before. Lyra observed silently, then finally spoke. "Remarkable," she said. "You have solved a problem not through power, but through understanding. That is the way of Zyphora. And yet, it is also uniquely human. You adapt, you learn, and you respect life in all its forms." Ethan smiled modestly. "I suppose it's a combination of curiosity and patience. Humans learn from mistakes, and we try to understand, rather than dominate." Selene appeared from the shadows of the grove, her violet eyes reflecting the light of the crystals. "You have done well," she said softly. "This is only a small trial, yet it reveals much. Your species has potential, Ethan Parker. Perhaps more than you realize." Over the next few days, the interactions deepened. Ethan shared stories of Earth, of human struggles and triumphs, of the way humanity persisted against odds that often seemed insurmountable. Lyra listened with fascination, while Celine asked questions that challenged him to think critically. The princesses were not merely curious, they were learning, and in turn, Ethan was learning from them. Then came the moment that changed everything. During a grand ceremony in the palace, Lyra stood before the gathered crowd of Xiphorans and humans alike. "Ethan Parker is a visitor, a scientist, and a student of our world," she announced. "But his qualities, courage, intelligence, and compassion, make him unique. By tradition, such a human cannot marry freely among outsiders. He may only form bonds with those who understand him fully, who can appreciate both his strength and his humanity." Murmurs filled the hall. Ethan felt the weight of expectation, the intense gaze of both princesses upon him. It was an honor, yes, but it was also a responsibility. He realized then that his presence on Xiphora was more than a mission, it was a test of human potential, a chance to show that humans could rise to challenges in ways that even advanced civilizations might not anticipate. And so, his journey on Xiphora truly began, not as a visitor, but as a participant in a world that was alive, observant, and eager to measure what humanity could offer. The twin suns set over the crystal spires, bathing the planet in a glow that seemed almost magical. Ethan Parker took a deep breath, ready to face whatever trials lay ahead, knowing that the qualities that defined humans, resilience, creativity, empathy, and courage, would guide him in the days to come. The adventure, the challenges, and the delicate dance of curiosity and respect had only just begun. The morning sun rose over Xiphora, casting long shadows across the crystal spires, and illuminating the soft violet fields where Ethan had begun to explore the day before. Today, however, the usual calm of the planet carried a hint of tension. Ethan had been summoned to the royal palace, and he sensed that this would not be an ordinary day. The corridors shimmered with iridescent light, reflecting off the walls made of living crystal that seemed to pulse with the heartbeat of the planet itself. Princess Lyra was waiting in the central hall, standing tall and composed as ever. Her silver hair caught the morning light, giving her an almost ethereal glow. Beside her stood Celine, quiet yet observant, her violet eyes watching Ethan as he approached. "You are ready for your first trial," Lyra announced, her voice calm but commanding. "It will test not just your intellect, but your creativity, courage, and adaptability. These are the qualities that define humanity. You must prove that your species can rise to challenges in ways that complement Xiphora, not just imitate it." "Why?" Ethan nodded, trying to steady the nervous excitement he felt. "I will do my best, Princess," he replied. "I am ready." The sisters led him to a vast open field at the edge of the palace grounds. The area was unlike anything Ethan had seen, a mixture of natural beauty and technology. Trees with crystalline leaves formed intricate patterns across the field, and strange energy nodes dotted the landscape, humming softly. At the center of this field was a massive structure, partially buried underground, covered in glowing glyphs that pulsed in rhythm with the planet's hum. "This is the trial of balance," Lyra explained. "The structure you see controls the energy flow for this region. It has been disrupted, and the surrounding ecosystem is at risk. If you cannot restore it, the plants and creatures here will suffer." Ethan studied the structure carefully. The glyphs seemed to respond to touch, lighting up in patterns that changed depending on which nodes were activated. The energy flow was uneven, some areas glowing brightly while others were dim and weak. He realized that a single wrong adjustment could destabilize the system entirely. Celine stepped forward, her voice calm but sharp. "You cannot rely on brute force or guesswork. Observe first. Understand the relationships between the nodes, the energy, and the living environment. Only then can you make an effective solution." Ethan took a deep breath. He knelt beside one of the weaker nodes and placed his hand lightly on the surface. He closed his eyes and focused on the subtle vibrations, the faint hum that seemed to communicate the energy's rhythm. It was unlike any system he had studied on Earth, alive, responsive, almost sentient. Hours passed as Ethan experimented carefully. He tried small adjustments first, observing how each change affected the surrounding nodes. He noticed patterns, how energy flowed from certain points to others, how the plants responded to shifts, and how the glyphs reacted to touch. Slowly, he began to map the system in his mind, finding a sequence that might restore balance without harming the ecosystem. Princess Lyra watched silently, her amber eyes following his every movement. She was impressed, not only by his intelligence but by his patience and respect for the system. Humans, she realized, were different from Xiphorans. They did not always rely on logic alone. They used intuition, empathy, and creativity in ways that often surprised her. Celine, too, observed closely, occasionally stepping forward to offer guidance. "You have the right approach," she said. "But remember, the system is interconnected. Your actions will have consequences beyond what you see immediately. Think ahead, and consider the living elements as well as the energy nodes." Ethan nodded, taking her advice to heart. He worked methodically, adjusting the nodes in a sequence that gradually restored harmony. The dim areas began to glow softly, the plants responded with subtle movements, and the glyphs pulsed in a steady rhythm. Finally, after careful calculation and observation, he activated the final node. A wave of light spread across the field, and the energy flowed evenly throughout the system. The trees' crystalline leaves shone brightly, and the creatures that had been hiding emerged cautiously, their movements graceful and unafraid. Ethan stepped back, exhausted but exhilarated. Princess Lyra approached, her expression a mix of admiration and satisfaction. "You have succeeded," she said, "not through force, not through technology alone, but through understanding and respect. That is the essence of both humanity and Xiphora. You have passed the first trial." Celine's violet eyes softened. "You have done more than solve a problem," she added. "You have shown that humans can approach challenges in ways that complement our own methods. That is rare and valuable. We have much to learn from you, Ethan Parker." Despite the praise, Ethan felt a twinge of worry. He had completed the trial, yes, but he knew the challenges would only grow more difficult. The next trial, he suspected, would test not only his mind but his courage and resilience. He could already sense that the princesses had much more in store. That evening, back in the palace, Ethan reflected on the day's events. He sat in a quiet chamber, overlooking the glowing forests, thinking about the way Xiphora's systems were alive and responsive. On Earth, humans had built machines and cities, but few systems had true interconnectivity with nature. Here, every action had consequences, and the planet itself seemed to test its visitors, rewarding those who approached with care and insight. Lyra entered the room without knocking, her presence calm but commanding. "You are thinking too much about what is expected of you," she said. "The trials are not only about solving problems. They are about understanding yourself, your species, and how you fit into the universe. Humanity is strong because it adapts, learns, and cares. Remember that." Ethan nodded. "I understand, Princess. I will try to remember that in the days ahead." Celine joined them shortly after, carrying a small device that projected a three-dimensional map of Xiphora's ecosystems. "The next trial will require not only intellect but courage," she explained. "You will face situations that challenge your instincts and your ability to act under pressure. Observe carefully, but do not hesitate when action is required. Trust both your mind and your heart." Ethan felt a mix of anticipation and nervousness. The first trial had been difficult, but it had also revealed something important. Humans had qualities that could surprise even the most advanced civilizations: curiosity, creativity, empathy, and courage. These were traits that could allow him to navigate challenges that others might fail. The following day, he was led to a canyon deep within Xiphora's forests. The walls of the canyon glimmered with veins of glowing crystal, and a river of light-colored liquid flowed along the canyon floor. The princesses explained that a colony of native creatures had become trapped due to a sudden energy surge that destabilized their habitat. Ethan's task was to guide them to safety without harming the environment. As he approached the creatures, He realized they were unlike anything he had ever encountered. They were intelligent, capable of responding to signals and patterns, and they clearly trusted the planet's energy more than any external influence. Ethan had to communicate with them in ways beyond language, using gestures, intuition, and observation. Hours passed as he carefully guided the creatures, avoiding dangerous currents, unstable crystal formations, and areas of high energy concentration. Several times, he nearly slipped, but he relied on his quick thinking and adaptability to recover. The princesses watched silently, impressed by his courage and calm under pressure. Finally, all the creatures were safely relocated to a stable habitat, and the canyon's energy returned to normal. Ethan's body was exhausted, but his mind was exhilarated. He had faced real danger, had relied on both intellect and instinct, and had succeeded. Lyra approached, her expression serious but approving. "This was not just a test of skill," she said. "It was a test of courage and empathy. You have shown both in abundance. Humans are remarkable in their ability to act decisively while maintaining respect for life. That is why your species is valued. And why you are here." Celine's gaze was softer now. "You have passed 2 trials, Ethan Parker. But there is still more to learn, and more to prove. The next challenge will require understanding relationships not just with the planet, but with those around you. Trust and collaboration will be key." Ethan realized that the trials were designed not only to test him but also to teach the princesses something about humanity. Every step, every decision, revealed how humans could contribute to a civilization far beyond their own. He felt a sense of pride, tempered by humility, knowing that the journey ahead would be even more demanding. That night, as he lay in his quarters, Ethan thought about what the princesses had said. He understood now that Zyphra was not a planet to conquer, or a civilization to impress. It was a world to understand, a society to respect, and a place to learn from. And perhaps, in doing so, he could show that humans were capable of more than even the most advanced civilizations expected. The trials had begun. And with them, the real adventure. Ethan Parker, a human far from Earth, was beginning to discover the strength, ingenuity, and empathy that defined his species. And Zyphora, with its living crystals, glowing forests, and wise princesses, would never be the same again. The day began with a strange stillness on Zyphora. Ethan could feel it in the air. The soft hum of energy was lower, almost hesitant, as if the planet itself was waiting. He had passed the first 2 trials, earning both respect and curiosity from Princess Lyra and Princess Celine, but the sense of anticipation told him that the next challenge would be unlike anything he had faced before. Lyra greeted him at the palace entrance, her amber eyes shining with determination. "Today's trial will test your ability to lead and to inspire, not just to solve problems or face danger. Humanity's strength lies not only in intelligence and courage, but also in its ability to unite and guide. You will need all these qualities." Celine stepped forward as well, her gaze assessing. "The trial involves cooperation with others, some who may not understand your ways. You must work together, find common ground, and achieve a goal that benefits many. Only then will you demonstrate the full potential of your species." Undred Bragness. Ethan nodded, understanding that this would be a test of both human leadership and diplomacy. He had faced physical challenges and complex systems before, but guiding others, especially beings whose thinking was far different from his own, would require patience, empathy, and clarity. The princesses led him to a vast plateau overlooking the northern forests. There, he saw a group of Zypheran engineers, scholars, and creatures from the surrounding wilderness gathered. They were preparing to construct a new energy network to stabilize the region's power supply, but disagreements had slowed progress. The engineers preferred strict, precise methods, while the scholars emphasized theoretical designs that were elegant but fragile. The creatures, intelligent and responsive, had their own instincts about the best placement of energy nodes. "This is your challenge," Lyra said. "You must coordinate these diverse groups to complete the network successfully. The region's stability depends on it." Ethan stepped forward, feeling the weight of responsibility. He observed the disagreements, noting that while the Xiferans were brilliant, their approaches often clashed. The creatures relied on intuition, the engineers on precision, and the scholars on theory. Humans, he realized, had a unique ability to mediate between different approaches, finding solutions that combined strength, creativity, and adaptability. He began by listening carefully to each group. The creatures communicated through gestures and subtle energy pulses, which Ethan learned to interpret after careful observation. The engineers spoke in exact terms, outlining what was physically possible. The scholars described ideal outcomes, sometimes ignoring practical constraints. Ethan took notes, asked questions, and synthesized the information into a plan that respected everyone's input. "Your idea?" Celine asked, tilting her head slightly, curious to see how he would handle such complexity. Ethan explained his approach calmly. "We will divide the task into phases. First, the energy nodes will be placed based on both the creature's instincts and the engineer's calculations. Then, the scholar's theoretical designs will guide the fine-tuning of the network. By combining intuition, precision, and creativity, we can stabilize the system efficiently and safely." Lyra nodded approvingly. "A wise approach. Lead them, Ethan Parker." The next hours were filled with coordination, problem-solving, and occasional tension. Ethan moved among the groups, offering guidance, mediating disputes, and encouraging collaboration. At first, there was skepticism. Xiforans were not accustomed to taking direction from a human, but Ethan's calm confidence and respect for their abilities won them over. Slowly, disagreements turned into discussions, debates into compromises, and differences into complementary strengths. As the network took shape, an unexpected complication arose. A surge of unstable energy erupted from a nearby cluster of crystal spires, threatening to destabilize the work. The creatures froze, sensing danger. The engineers hesitated, unsure how to respond without precise calculations. The scholars panicked, worried that their designs would fail. Ethan stepped forward, drawing on everything he had learned from his trials. "We must act quickly," he said. "The surge will affect the entire region if we wait. Follow my lead, trust the instincts of the creatures, and use your calculations to guide adjustments. Work together, and we can stabilize it." With careful instructions, he coordinated the groups. The creatures led him to safe paths and indicated which nodes could be adjusted. The engineers recalculated energy flows on the spot, while the scholars fine-tuned the theoretical parameters. Ethan moved between them, translating intentions into action, encouraging each participant to contribute their best abilities. Slowly, the surge was contained. Energy flowed smoothly, the network stabilized, and the surrounding ecosystem resumed its natural rhythm. The plants, trees, and wildlife responded almost immediately, reflecting the harmony of the restored network. Ethan stepped back, exhausted but exhilarated. Lyra approached him, her expression one of quiet pride. "You have succeeded where many would have failed," she said. "You did not impose your will. You guided, listened, and inspired. Humanity's strength lies not only in what it can do alone, but in what it can accomplish with others." Quote, Celine's eyes glimmered softly. "And you have done so without arrogance, Ethan Parker. You respected their abilities, yet led decisively. That is rare. That is truly human." As the sun began to set over Xiphera, the plateau bathed in golden light. Ethan felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The trial had tested him not only as an individual, but as a representative of humanity. He realized that humans could offer qualities that even advanced civilizations might not expect: empathy, creativity, adaptability, and the ability to unite diverse perspectives toward a common goal. The celebration that evening was subdued but meaningful. The creatures returned to their habitats, the engineers to their laboratories, and the scholars to their studies. The energy network hummed steadily, a testament to the power of collaboration and guidance. Ethan was praised not for his strength or intelligence alone, but for his ability to inspire, mediate, and lead. Yet even amidst the satisfaction, Ethan sensed a deeper challenge approaching. During a private conversation, Lyra and Selene spoke quietly in the palace gardens, their expressions serious. "There is more to come," Lyra said. "This trial has shown his abilities. But the universe is not without danger. Soon, we will face threats that cannot be solved by intellect alone. Courage and adaptability will be tested in ways we cannot predict." Selene nodded. "And he will not be alone. He must rely on others, and they must rely on him. This is the moment where human qualities will shine most brightly, or falter. The coming days will reveal the true strength of his spirit." Ethan, unaware of the exact nature of the looming challenge, spent the night preparing. He studied the network, ensuring its stability, and reflected on the lessons he had learned from both princesses. Lyra's boldness and decisiveness had shown him the value of courage and initiative, while Selene's analytical insight had taught him the importance of observation, planning, and subtlety. Together, their guidance had allowed him to navigate challenges that would have seemed impossible alone. The following morning, the trial evolved in unexpected ways. A report arrived from the northern skies. A fleet of rogue alien ships was approaching Zyphora. Their intentions were unclear, but their presence threatened the planet's stability. Panic rippled through the palace and the surrounding areas. The creatures sensed danger, the engineers worried about energy surges, and the scholars debated strategies. Ethan felt the weight of responsibility. He realized that this was no ordinary trial, it was a real test of human courage, adaptability, and leadership. He approached Lyra and Selene, ready to contribute whatever he could. "Ethan," Lyra said, her voice steady despite the tension, "this is the moment we spoke of. Your qualities, curiosity, empathy, courage, and ingenuity will determine the outcome. Work with our people, understand the threat, and act decisively. Your humanity may be our greatest strength." Selene added, "Trust yourself, Ethan, and trust others. Even the most advanced civilization can falter if it cannot work together. Your task is not just to survive, but to inspire cooperation and resilience." Over the next hours, Ethan coordinated efforts across Zyphora. He analyzed the incoming fleet's movements, interpreted signals from the alien ships, and devised strategies that combined the planet's defenses with human ingenuity. He guided engineers to reinforce energy shields, helped creatures relocate vulnerable habitats, and worked with scholars to predict the aliens' next moves. The situation was tense, each decision critical. Yet Ethan remained calm, relying on the lessons from his previous trials. His respect for life, his careful observation, and his ability to act decisively allowed him to anticipate problems before they arose. Slowly, the alien threat was mitigated. Zyphora's defenses held, and the intruders retreated. Realizing that the planet was not an easy target, when the danger finally passed, Lyra and Selene approached him, their expressions reflecting both relief and admiration. "You have done more than complete a trial," Lyra said. "You have protected our world, guided our people, and shown the true value of humanity. Courage, ingenuity, empathy, these qualities have saved Zyphora today." Selene's violet eyes shone. "And in doing so, you have taught us something as well. Humans are not merely visitors. They are allies, partners, and protectors. Your species has strength that complements even the most advanced civilizations." Ethan, exhausted but fulfilled, realized the significance of his journey. He had begun as a simple explorer, sent to study a distant planet. But he had become a symbol of humanity's potential. Zyphora had tested him. But he had risen to the challenge, not through power or dominance, but through the very qualities that defined humans. As the twin suns set over the crystal spires, Ethan stood beside Lyra and Selene, watching the light reflect off the plateau. The trials had shown him the strength of collaboration, courage, and creativity. The threat had revealed humanity's ability to inspire and unite. And in the quiet glow of the evening, Ethan understood that his journey was far from over, but he was ready for whatever lay ahead. The morning light broke over Zyphora, painting the crystal spires in shades of gold and violet. The planet seemed to breathe in relief after the recent attack. Ethan Parker walked through the palace gardens, reflecting on the past days. Each trial, each challenge, had pushed him to the limits of intellect, courage, and empathy. Yet he felt more confident than ever in humanity's ability to rise to challenges. Even on a planet far from Earth, Princess Lyra approached him quietly, her presence commanding yet warm. "Ethan," she said, her amber eyes reflecting the morning light. "The trials have shown us what you are capable of, but there is one final step. Not a test of skill or courage, but of understanding. You have faced challenges, saved lives, and guided our people. Now, you must show what it means to build lasting bonds and unity." Ethan nodded, intrigued. "I understand, Princess. I will do my best." Celine appeared beside Lyra, her violet eyes thoughtful. "This is the moment where your human qualities will be most important. Not just your intelligence or bravery, but your ability to inspire trust, cooperation, and hope. Zyphera has survived for millennia, but it has not faced a threat like the one you recently repelled. Now, we must ensure that our world is prepared for the future, and your guidance will be crucial." The three of them traveled to the central hall of the palace, where Zyphera's leaders, engineers, scholars, and creatures gathered. There was a sense of anticipation in the air, a collective awareness that today was not just a continuation of trials, but a step towards something greater. Lyra addressed the assembly. "Our world has been tested, and we have endured. But the challenges ahead require unity. Ethan Parker, a human of great courage and wisdom, has shown us the value of collaboration, empathy, and ingenuity. Today, he will help us strengthen our bonds and secure Zyphera's future." Ethan felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He had guided others before, but now the stakes were higher. The people of Zyphera trusted him, and he could not let them down. He began by listening to concerns, observing the patterns of energy, and understanding the needs of both the people and the planet. The main task was to redesign the planet's energy network to prevent future disruptions. The rogue alien fleet had revealed vulnerabilities, and the planet's living systems required careful planning to avoid endangering the ecosystem. Ethan proposed a plan that integrated the best of all approaches: the engineer's precision, the scholar's creativity, and the creature's intuition. "This plan respects every perspective," Ethan explained. "It balances the technical requirements with the living needs of the planet. We will work in phases, ensuring stability at every step and adjusting based on feedback from the environment." At first, there was skepticism. Zyphorans were proud of their abilities, and humans were rare visitors. Yet Ethan's calm confidence and thoughtful approach won over even the most doubtful leaders. He guided the groups step by step, mediating disagreements, encouraging collaboration, and using creativity to solve unforeseen problems. During the work, a minor energy fluctuation occurred, causing a small area of the forest to dim and the creatures to become anxious. Ethan acted quickly, instructing the engineers to stabilize the affected nodes while encouraging the creatures to guide him toward the source. The scholars recalculated energy distribution, and together they restored the flow without harming any living beings. Princess Lyra observed from above, her expression thoughtful. "He leads not with authority alone, but with understanding. That is a rare quality." Celine nodded. "He does not dominate, he inspires. Humans have a unique ability to unify diverse groups without diminishing their strengths. That is why he has succeeded where others might fail." Had apply. As the day progressed, the network gradually came together. Nodes connected seamlessly, energy flowed harmoniously, and the living environment responded positively. Trees shimmered with renewed vitality. Crystal spires pulsed gently, and the creatures moved freely, their instincts satisfied. Ethan's plan had worked not through force, but through collaboration and respect. When the final adjustments were complete, Ethan stood before the assembly, exhausted but proud. "This network represents more than energy," he said. It represents what we can achieve when we work together, respecting each other's strengths and listening to one another. This is what humans do best. We adapt, we collaborate, and we rise to challenges that seem impossible. Lyra approached him, her expression warm and approving. You have not only strengthened our systems but also our people. You have taught us that unity and understanding are just as important as strength and knowledge. Humanity has much to offer, Zyphora, and we are fortunate to have you here. Selene added, and you have shown us that courage and empathy can coexist with intellect. Your presence has reminded us of the importance of these qualities. Zyphora will be stronger because of your contributions, Ethan Parker. The assembly erupted in applause, the creatures chiming in with harmonized sounds that resonated through the palace. Ethan felt a profound sense of accomplishment. He had started as a visitor, a human far from Earth, and now he was a trusted partner in shaping the future of an entire civilization. As the celebrations continued, the princesses led him to a quiet terrace overlooking the forests and crystal spires. The twin suns were setting, casting a warm glow across the landscape. Ethan, Lyra said softly, her amber eyes reflecting the light. You have proven your worth, not only through trials, but through real challenges. You have faced danger, guided our people, and shown the best of humanity. Now, the choice is yours, how you wish to continue your journey with us. Selene stepped closer, her violet eyes gentle. Your actions have inspired respect and admiration. Whatever path you choose, know that you have made a difference here. Humanity is valued, and your presence is a gift to Zyphora. Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the enormity of the moment. He realized that his journey was no longer about survival or study, it was about partnership, trust, and the shared future of two civilizations. He looked at the glowing forests, the shimmering spires, and the intelligent creatures, and he understood that his role was more than he had ever imagined. I want to stay, Ethan said finally. Not because I am obligated, but because I want to learn more, to help, and to build bridges between our worlds. Humanity and Zyphora can achieve so much together. Lyra smiled, her expression radiant. Then it is settled. You will remain, not as a guest, but as a partner, a friend, and a member of our society. Your courage, wisdom, and empathy will continue to guide us. Selene nodded, her smile gentle but firm. And we will continue to learn from each other. Your humanity has reminded us of the qualities that matter most. Courage, creativity, empathy, and resilience. Zyphora will thrive with these as guiding principles. In the following weeks, Ethan worked closely with the princesses, scientists, and creatures. Together, they developed new energy networks, improved communication systems, and created cultural exchanges that enriched both humans and Zyphorans. He discovered ways to integrate human creativity with Zyphoran technology, solving problems that had long challenged their civilization. He also grew close to both Lyra and Selene, not only as mentors and guides but as friends who respected and valued his perspective. Their interactions were filled with mutual learning, laughter, and collaboration, showing that partnership and understanding could bridge even the vastest differences. One day, as Ethan observed a newly stabilized forest, he realized how far he had come. From a curious explorer to a trusted partner, he had proven the value of humanity, not through domination or power, but through intelligence, empathy, courage, and collaboration. Zyphora was stronger, its people more united, and the bond between human and alien civilizations deeper than he could have imagined. Princess Lyra approached him, her silver hair glowing in the late afternoon light. Ethan, you have done more than any of us expected. You have shown that humanity is capable of greatness, not only in thought and action, but in spirit. We are honored to have you among us, Selene added, and your presence will continue to inspire our people, reminding us that even the smallest actions, guided by empathy and courage, can create lasting change. You have made a difference, Ethan Parker, in ways that will endure for generations. As the twin suns set once more, Ethan stood between the princesses, looking out over the glowing forests and shimmering spires. He felt a profound sense of purpose, knowing that humanity's qualities had been recognized, respected, and celebrated on a world far beyond Earth. The trials were over, but the journey had only just begun. Ethan Parker had shown that humans, with their courage, creativity, empathy, and adaptability, could rise to any challenge, unite diverse beings, and inspire hope. Zyphora would never forget the human who came, learned, and led not by force, but by the very essence of what it meant to be human. And as the stars began to appear in Zyphora's twin night sky, Ethan smiled, ready for whatever new adventures awaited, confident that humanity's spirit would continue to shine wherever the journey led.